Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Secretary of Commerce, Gary Locke, and Chair of the Foundation for the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award, Joe Alexander.
Welcome to the official celebration and award ceremony for the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award 2008 recipients. This is a celebration, so can we hear a little noise and excitement? Good. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand, remain standing for the presentation of the colors by the Joint Armed Forces Color Guard and the playing of the national anthem. You may be seated. In a little while, we'll have the honor of having Vice President Biden join us. At the conclusion of the Vice President's remarks, we ask that you please remain seated until you're instructed that it is okay to depart. During this time, please enjoy the fine musical accompaniment of the Air Force Band. I will return to the stage once the Vice President has left the area with an announcement that we are cleared to depart the room. It's now my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce the Secretary of Commerce, Gary Locke.
Well, thank you very much, Joe, and congratulations for all the great work that you're doing. And to everyone in the room, welcome. This is a great occasion, and we're especially honored to have Vice President Joe Biden joining us in a few minutes. I want to recognize Malcolm Hollensteiner, Malcolm Baldrige's nephew, and we're so delighted that you could join us. Malcolm Hollensteiner, if you could just please stand up and be recognized and pay a tribute to you. We're also expecting Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota. Oh, there she is. All right, you made it already. And I believe Congresswoman Betsy Markey of Colorado should be joining us shortly. I also want to acknowledge the Malcolm Baldrige Quality Award Board of Overseers, the Baldrige Foundation, and the American Society for Quality, and our wonderful Baldrige team at the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Thank you all for the great work that you're doing to help make this program a success and the Malcolm Baldrige Awards a success and such an esteemed event every single year. Let's give them a big round of applause as well. Thank you. I'm really delighted to have this opportunity to personally congratulate the recipients of the 2008 Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Awards. These awards, of course, are given in honor of one of the most respected Commerce Secretaries in United States history. Malcolm Baldrige led this great institution, the Department of Commerce, for nearly 7 years. He came to the office from industry, and he deeply believed in America's ability to produce the best products and the best services in the entire world. And as Secretary, he challenged U.S. companies and organizations to overcome strong global competition that our nation was facing in the 1980s by focusing on quality. And in 1987, Congress created the Quality Award Program and named it after Mac Baldrige. Now, many of us in state government and in private industry saw the value in recognizing uncommon quality. During my service as 8 years as governor of the state of Washington, I took a cue from Mac Baldrige, and we established a Quality and Performance Award to promote excellence. I'm proud of the things that we were able to do in creating our own version of the Malcolm Baldrige Award within state government. Driver's license renewal used to take over an hour when I took office. We got it down to 10 minutes. And even before we got it down to 10 minutes, you could renew your driver's license online. We created software so that businesses could pay their taxes online using the software that we provided free of charge. And things that used to take 3 months, we challenged our employees to get it done in 1 day. So clearly, Malcolm Baldrige had an incredible influence throughout America. And I'm proud that we in state government and most state governments have been able to take the cue from him. Also want to acknowledge that Governor Ritter of Colorado was here and very much is engaged in the same activities, and he's not able to join us for the rest of these ceremonies. But clearly the organizations that we're recognizing today have set a very, very high bar. And President Obama and his entire administration have made it a priority to revitalize America's industrial sector and reform our educational and our healthcare systems. And the 3 awardees that we honor and recognize today, Cargill Corn Milling of North America, Iredell-Statesville Schools, and Poudre Valley Health Systems, hail from each of these sectors and are a shining example of quality and service done right. Cargill Corn Milling of North America, which manufactures over 60 corn and sugar-based products for more than 3,000 customers. They employ some 2,300 men and women. Using a scorecard and best practice model to monitor and promote performance excellence, its earnings nearly tripled between 2003 and 2007. Meanwhile, their cost of doing business dropped 5% from 2005 to 2008. And during that same period of time, it maintained an error-free delivery rate of 99%. Throughout, Cargill has exhibited an uncommon commitment to its employees and the communities in which it operates. In the year 2008, in June, when floodwaters destroyed its corn milling plant in Cedar Rapids, Cargill brought in its best people from around the country to get the plant up and running in a matter of months, but also to assist the community in its recovery efforts. Importantly, amidst this devastation, Cargill let its 200 Cedar Rapids employees know that they would continue to be paid even though the plant was down, and that they'd all have a job when they came back and when the plant was up and running. Just the kind of commitment you'd expect from an organization worthy of the Baldrige Award. Our second winner is Iredell-Statesville Schools, a K-12 school system in southwestern North Carolina. With 4 central offices, 35 schools, and a workforce of some 3,400 people, it offers a variety of courses and educational programs to meet the needs of its students. Iredell-Statesville has built a collaborative atmosphere that encourages its teachers to work together to improve student learning. In spite of a lower budget and lower per pupil expenditure, It has outperformed comparative districts at the state and even at the national level. Student achievement is up from 55th to 9th out of more than 100 school districts in North Carolina. And its average SAT scores exceed the national average. Finally, we honor Poudre Valley Health System, which offers a full spectrum of healthcare services through 2 hospitals in Colorado and a network of clinics and care facilities that also serve residents in Nebraska and Wyoming. This locally owned, nonprofit healthcare group has been recognized for patient loyalty, physician satisfaction, performance excellence, and competitive healthcare costs compared to other local competitors. Poudre's leaders are renowned for their facilitating seamless communication between management and staff, as well as an organization-wide focus on high performance and customer satisfaction. It's no surprise then that last year, Thomson Reuters, a national healthcare consulting firm, named Poudre Valley Hospital as one of its 100 top hospitals in America for the 5th year in a row. Though the 2008 Baldrige Award recipients hail from different sectors, they each serve as a model to all organizations who want to get the most out of their people and provide the very best service to their customers and to the communities in which they operate. Congratulations to all of these 3 award winners for doing a job and doing it so well. Now I'd like to ask Alan Willits, President and Business Unit Leader, and Greg Page, Chairman, CEO of Cargill, to come to the podium. And we're going to do this with each of the representatives and the executives of the 3 organizations that we honor today. But first we'll start with Cargill. Now, what kind of seeds do you have in those containers, huh? Handing to each of them a Baldrige flag. Take off that name tag. Now we'd like to ask David Cash, Chairman, Board of Education, and Brady Johnson, Superintendent of Iredell-Statesville Schools, to now join us at the podium to receive the Malcolm Baldrige Award. And now boy, I don't have this first name. Is it Rulon Stacy, President CEO, and Priscilla Newwash, Director of Process Improvement of Poudre Valley Health System. Now, what did the supporters of the school district wave and clap? What was it that you waved and clapped? Books. No? Little bells, little whistles there? All right, a little bit dealing with education, okay. And then, now how is that related to hospitals and healthcare? A little hand. I mean, I can understand the corn, I can understand the seeds, but we're going to have to work on that. Makes the most noise. Makes the most noise. Congratulations. Governor Ritter. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. Really, thank you. Thank you. All right. All right, let's give them a big round of applause, all three. Let's see, we got the C's, we got the bells and whistles, and we got the hands. Well, now we're going to hear from our award recipients. We're going to each have them all come up, but first I'd like to invite Alan Willits, President of Cargill Corn Milling, back to the podium, who will be then followed by representatives of the other award winners. Congratulations again.
Secretary Locke, members of the Baldrige family, distinguished guests, I am honored and humbled to accept this award on behalf of the 2,400 of my colleagues at Cargill Corn Milling. All right, there we go. Their dedication to serving our customers and their enthusiastic embrace of the Baldrige principles as the way to do it is the reason I'm standing at this podium today. I congratulate each and every one of them, including the 60 of my teammates that joined me here today in DC. All right. It is also very gratifying to share this stage with people of Iredell-Statesville Schools and Poudre Valley Health Systems. Congratulations to each of you for being among the very best in the noble fields that you represent. At Cargill Corn Milling, we too see ourselves as having a noble purpose. We share with our parent company a vision of being the global leader in nourishing people. We do this by providing safe, nutritious, affordable, and good-tasting food ingredients to our customers in food manufacturing and food service. For example, our innovative whole grain cereals add fiber to millions of cereal bowls every morning. Our natural, non-allergenic glucosamine helps thousands improve their joint health. And yes, our corn-based sweeteners provide flavor, texture, and freshness that can make healthy eating more enjoyable and convenient. We also make premium quality animal feeds for healthier livestock, and we make ethanol that's helping this nation diversify its fuel supply. The list goes on. We're proud of all the ingredients that we make at all of our 9 manufacturing facilities across the United States. Ask any Baldrige recipient, and they'll tell you it was a long journey, and perhaps during that journey, there was a crucial moment. For Cargill Corn Milling, that crucial moment occurred on November 6, 2002. We had been following the business excellence principles since the mid-1980s and had success at many of our individual facilities. But on November 6, 2002, we made a decision to really take it to the next level. Let me give you some context. Earlier that year, we'd applied for a Cargill Business Excellence Award, an internal award that mirrors the Baldrige criteria. We filled out the application, and we didn't even get a site visit. To tell you the truth, we were pretty torqued off about it. So when we thought about it, we said, what do we do? So we called a meeting with Cargill Chairman and CEO Greg Page, and we complained long and loud. We said, we have outstanding plants across the nation. How could we not even get a site visit? If a shoulder to cry on is what we sought, Mr. Page was in no mood to provide it. In effect, he pointed out to us that we'd lost the game, and here we were trying to complain about the referees. He told us, if you really think you're that good, then get to work and prove it. That smarted. But it forced us to take a long look in the mirror, and lo and behold, we found that we did have some blemishes. Cargill Corn Milling did indeed have superb individual plants, but to some extent, each was an island unto itself. In many cases, we actually competed with each other. To make it to the next level, we had to operate not as single plants focused on individual bottom line, but as a single enterprise focused on serving our customer. We got to work putting processes in place to drive improvement across the organization. We set up a staffing structure that would be consistent with a single enterprise. We set performance goals that measured how well we served the customer, not where we served the customer from. We encourage collaboration, not just across corn milling, but across all of Cargill. It took time. It took relentless determination at all of our locations and by a great many people. But it paid off. And when I say it paid off, I don't mean because we received this award, however gratifying that really is. I mean because our customers started to notice. They started differentiating us from our competitors. They learned to lean on us to help solve problems and to help them develop better product offerings. This is why we adhere to the Baldrige principles, because they've been enormously helpful in helping guide us to become a better supplier, a better partner with our customers, and a better place to work. That, in turn, has led us to profitable growth. For helping us to achieve that, Malcolm Baldrige Committee, we thank you. For the recognition this award brings to all 2,400 of our teammates, we thank you. And for the 44 pages of opportunities for improvement that came with this award, we thank you for that as well. In fact, we thank you for that most of all, because that will help us get even better in the years to come. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm David Cash, the chairman of the Iredell-Statesville Schools Board of Education, and it's great to be here with you today. Appreciate you having us here. Secretary Locke, representative from the Baldrige family, fellow recipients, and other distinguished guests, it is my honor and humble privilege to accept this award, an award that represents the tireless work Iredell-Statesville Schools' 3,000 employees do for our school district's more than 21,000 students. It is their relentless dedication and commitment to performance excellence, their innovation and focus on the future, and their passion for our children, which are our most important customers, that has enabled this award to become a reality for our school district. Please allow me to introduce to you only a small number of the many individuals who have made a difference for the students of Iredell-Statesville Schools. First, I must express my gratitude to my fellow Board of Education members, our Vice Chairman, Dr. Ken Wilson, and board members Bill Brader, Charles Kelly, John Rogers, Karen Watson, and Keith Williams. And to our former superintendent, Dr. Terry Holliday, who we are pleased to have here with us today. It was Dr. Holliday's vision for the future, his focus on continuous improvement, his dedicated leadership, and his courage and determination that led Iredell-Statesville Schools to this most exciting point in its quality journey. Additionally, my partner on stage today, our new superintendent, Mr. Brady Johnson. Mr. Johnson and I, along with our Board of Education and our entire faculty and staff, today stand poised and ready for the next destination in our voyage. We are committed to building on our successes, but are careful to acknowledge that the journey to performance excellence is founded upon continuous improvement and discovering new and innovative ways to serve and support our customers. Finally, I couldn't leave the stage today without expressing my sincere gratitude to all of the faculty, staff, and students of Iredell-Statesville Schools. It is such a privilege serving as your chairman of the Board of Education. It is a distinct honor for our organization to be here today, being recognized alongside our fellow Baldrige recipients. We understand and appreciate the hard work and dedication it requires to stand on this stage. As one of the only 8 education recipients of the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award to date, we recognize and embrace both the monumental honor and responsibilities that come with this award. While we have enjoyed the scenic view thus far on our journey, we know there is still much work to be done. I am so proud to be a part of Iredell-Statesville Schools, and I am both grateful and humble today to be a part of this outstanding organization. Again, on behalf of all of the faculty, staff, and students of Iredell-Statesville Schools, I thank you for this wonderful honor.
Thank you very much, Secretary Locke, members of the Baldrige family, distinguished guests, and fellow recipients. It is with tremendous pride and great humility that I accept on behalf of the Poudre Valley Health System the 2008 Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award on behalf of all of our employees, physicians, and volunteers. I want to recognize the 50 representatives who traveled here with us today and the many who are viewing with us today back in Colorado as well. Thank you very much and congratulations to you. It's an honor to work with you. Now would be a good time to clap. Just over a decade ago, we were a small community hospital that no one had heard of. We had one in 4 of our employees was leaving every year. Our physicians were becoming our competitors, and we had had 5 CEOs in just 4 years. It was then, led by our board of directors, that we set out on a journey to make the patients in northern Colorado, southern Wyoming, and western Nebraska make sure that they would have the best access to the best health care in the world, today and for generations to come. I must admit, some thought that that was an unrealistic goal, and many, some maybe in this room, even laughed at us when we suggested that. But slowly, over time, guided by the Baldrige principles of performance excellence, we engaged our employees and our physicians and our volunteers. We partnered with our suppliers and our community members, and we demonstrated that by working together collaboratively, we could accomplish what many thought would be impossible. So today, here we stand, eager to tell a nation that is plagued by rising healthcare costs and limited access to healthcare, how one locally owned, not-for-profit health system continues to hold costs below national and regional averages while achieving clinical outcomes, patient satisfaction, and financial performance in the national top 10%, and employee satisfaction and physician loyalty in the national top 1%. By having the courage to open themselves to robust scrutiny of the Baldrige National Quality Program and the fortitude to act on what they learned, these people in front of you and those watching back in Colorado have literally transformed the way healthcare can and should be provided. As a result of their commitment, I am convinced that there are people who are alive today who otherwise would not be alive. So today we stand ready to offer our contribution to a nation searching for answers to healthcare. We stand ready to help this great country. Thank you very much for your time.
And now for the next few moments, as we wait the arrival of the Vice President, we invite you to enjoy once again the music of the Air Force Band.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's our pleasure to bring onto the stage one of our nation's most distinguished, dedicated public servants, Joe Biden. Joe Biden has spent 36 years representing Delaware in the United States Senate, where he made it the cause of his life to expand economic opportunity across this country. And it's work that Joe Biden has continued as Vice President. Indeed, President Obama tasked him to head up the White House Task Force on Working Families, where he ensures that policymakers and members of the cabinet and the staff are focused on job creation and rebuilding America's middle class. Joe Biden understands the issues, the worries, the dreams, and the aspirations of working families and small businesses and organizations across America. He is a person who is relentless in getting us in the federal government to be more productive, more efficient, and to focus on the challenges of America. He's one of the President's most trusted advisors, and we are indeed honored to have him here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Vice President of the United States of America, Joe Biden.
Thank you very, very much. Fortunately, all of you on this side of the room could not see what this side of the room saw. Gary, Mr. Secretary, when you said Joe Biden, I apologize, no speaker should ever start this way by apologizing for being late, but it's one of the drawbacks of not being president. The boss says stick, you stick, as you said, came rushing in, knowing I was late, and all I could hear you say was Joe Biden, and I opened the curtain, and I realized I wasn't supposed to step out. I felt like the Wizard of Oz back there. I told the governor earlier, I tell all of you, I tried very hard for a while there to become the nominee. And by the way, I'd say retrospectively, if I'd known how good this guy was, I would have joined earlier. I just wouldn't have fooled around. But I often wondered, we'd be behind a curtain like that during the campaign and the nomination, and someone would say, and here's Joe Biden. Well, when I joined the ticket, there's formal folks back there with microphones, and they'll say, now you're going to be introduced by the voice of God. I had Harry Smith introducing me, or Charlie Jones. Barack always had the voice of God introducing him. So now I realize why it wasn't even a race. But folks, all kidding aside, I truly apologize for keeping you waiting, because this is an important lunch. It's an important occasion, and it's not really excusable for me to be late for so many important people and the honorees. I understand Senator Klobuchar is here, or at least was. Amy, if you're here, good to see you. And the Board of Overseers, the Baldrige Foundation, the American Society for Quality, and the Baldrige team at the National Institute of Standards and Technology. I acknowledge all of you and thank you all for all that you've done. During my Senate career, I had the pleasure of knowing, which is really going to date me, 16 Secretaries of Commerce. And I'm telling you, Mac was clearly one of the most memorable that I have ever met in my 37-year career. Then again, it's pretty hard to forget a cabinet member inducted into the Cowboys Hall of Fame, who was once named the Professional Rodeo Man of the Year. And I'm so pleased that I'm told Mac's nephew is with us. Malcolm, are you here? There you go. How you doing, Malcolm? Malcolm Holdensteiner. If my dad were alive, he'd look at you and he'd say, "Kid, you got good blood. You got good blood." After Mac's untimely death, I was proud to support the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Improvement Act when I was a United States Senator. That legislation passed way back in August of 1987 and was born of the realization that America's competitors were, and I might argue for the first time, at least in the last century, for the first time, beginning to outpace us, especially in the area of manufacturing and industry. Quite simply, it was clear, and this was Mac's sort of drumbeat, we had to do better. We had to do a lot better. And our economic future depended on it. And I would argue it still does. Mac's vision of this award's recognition helped us refocus on the future, on quality, on performance, and most importantly, maybe, on innovation. Now, here we are, 22 years later, and again at an economic crossroads for this great nation, again channeling Mac's spirit and his vision, and again looking toward innovators in order to strengthen our economy. And that's why President Obama and I are so proud to honor the hard-working men and women of Cargill, who I just got a chance to meet, and Poudre Valley Health Systems, as well as a school system. Think about this. Here we're talking about, Iredell State School District, and they're being honored today. But when you know, and you do know what they've done, what all of them have done, you understand why it's so important. Because they've made real changes. Cargill Milling North America saw earnings nearly triple between 2003 and 2007, and in the process maintained an impeccable error-free delivery rate throughout. But what makes so many people so proud, and speaking for myself, so proud of Cargill, is their model response to the devastating floods in Cedar Rapids last year, floods which I witnessed and saw the devastation. It's hard for people to believe unless you actually physically saw it. What happened? The response from Cargill was that they engaged the entire community, and they treated their employees with a kind of dignity that should be a norm, but unfortunately these days sometimes is an exception. Always treating their employees with dignity. And am I pronouncing right, Iredale? Iredale. You think as an Irishman I'd get that right. The Iredell-Statesville Schools, our second winner. You guys looked at a low budget that you were faced with and limited resources and said, we're going to do the best anyway. We're not going to use it as an excuse as to why we can't get better. You transformed your district's culture. That's how I see it, the entire culture of your district. I'm married to an educator, have been for the last 35 years. She's been teaching all that time. And she always talks about the culture. It's a phrase that she uses, the culture of the school system, the culture of the district, the culture of the school. Well, you literally transform the district's culture from one that focuses on teaching to one that focused on learning. You raised graduation rates, proficiency scores, attendance, as well as morale. And you became a model for the 21st century public school systems that we need throughout this country. And as for the third winner, it's pronounced Poudre, right? Poudre. What am I getting? There's nothing wrong with me. You can call me Bidden. It's okay. I often get called Bidden. The Poudre Valley Health System is amazing. You know, what they've done is no surprise, except it is not the norm. It's no surprise that both your patient loyalty and physician satisfaction ranks in the top 1% of the nationwide of all the hospitals in America. That's pretty impressive. You've revolutionized healthcare, and that's because you get that the reason people enter your industry in the first place is to help others. It sounds so basic, but the truth of the matter is the motivating factor for most people being involved in healthcare is the same reason, the motivating factor why people become firemen or policemen. They actually are engaged in it, notwithstanding what remuneration may flow from it, because they really are moved by the notion that they can actually help people. And it seems surprising to me, and so self-evident now that you've done it, that it is not recognized. When you appeal to that piece of what motivates people to get involved in the first place, you can change. You know, when Aristotle wrote, "Excellence is not an act, but a habit," I think he had these three guys and their outfits in mind. Or they say he could have. The truth of the matter is that while others were asking, what has been done, you were wondering what hasn't been done and what can we do. You know, where others were settling for good enough, you three were aiming, and your outfits were aiming at world class. Good enough wasn't good enough. And while others were buffeted by the winds of change, you harnessed those winds of change, improving, inventing, and innovating for a new century in a new world. Gary, the Secretary, has heard me say this before. One of my favorite Irish poets is William Butler Yeats, and he wrote about his Ireland in a poem called Easter Sunday, 1916. And there's a verse in there, a line in there that better describes where we are today than it did his Ireland in 1916. He said, "All's changed, changed utterly. A terrible beauty has been born." Most people in business and in their personal life face that realization with a sense of dread and a sense of foreboding. You all faced it with a sense of opportunity. You decided things got to change, and you embraced it. And so for me, it comes down to a habit, an attitude, a habit of seeking excellence, a habit of seeking innovation, a habit of being willing to take chances. And you've applied that to everything you've done in three totally different areas. So what makes your achievements today doubly impressive in my view is that you're re-examining the past and the present. You haven't decided to settle. You decided we're able to do something fundamentally different, even though people have been trying in each of your areas at this for a long while. You know, the fact is that what you've done is you've begun to set a standard and help America reclaim its future. So I want to thank each one of you for all the work you've done and what I expect a heck of a lot more you're about to do, you're going to continue to do. And I want to thank you for your example. As you know, President Obama and I will be hosting a White House Job Summit tomorrow with leaders from American businesses, both large and small. And I literally, not figuratively, will be taking your stories of success in these three critical sectors: manufacturing, healthcare, and education. Taking it to that conference, taking it when I go. And I hope that your stories can inspire a new chapter in the America story. Over the past 3 years, I've had the opportunity to travel all across America. And often I was literally on a bus going through small and medium-sized towns in the South and the Midwest and throughout the country. And on that bus, I was usually accompanied by a local official, Democrat or Republican, someone, the town manager, the local representatives. And as we passed in the bus, and I mean this in a literal sense, I'm not being figurative, they'd point out the window and they'd point to a local landmark. And the commentary was almost always the same. They'd say to me, "You know, Senator, that used to be a steel mill employing 2,000 people. That used to be, our town used to be the ceramic capital of the world. That factory used to employ 1,200 folks. That company used to have their headquarters right there in our town." That's what I heard. That used to be. Literally, not figuratively. And it didn't matter whether I was in central Ohio or in South Carolina, in rural South Carolina. It was always, that used to be. But I still travel the country. I've been in God knows how many states in the last 10 months and how many cities. But I'm hearing a different refrain now, literally, not figuratively. The same officials, in effect, the same people doing the same kind of jobs, the people I rode with a year ago. It always starts off with, you see that over there, Mr. Vice President? That's going to be. That's going to be a factory that builds the next generation of automobiles. That's going to be the hub of a new smart grid for the nation. That rundown old plant, that's going to be an oasis of affordable housing and decent housing to raise the standard of living in this neighborhood and the safety quotient. That corn mill is going to be a model of community engagement and manufacturing excellence. That hospital isn't going to lay off any more decent men and women. It's going to be providing the best health care in the region. That school isn't going to close. It's not going to close. It's going to be a model for writing the success stories of tomorrow while employing top-notch educators today and encouraging learning. Folks, you know better than I do. An economy has never been rebuilt in a day or even in a year. And we got a lot of rebuilding to do. Without casting blame or aspersions on anybody, we've ignored an awful lot of things for the past 20 years, and particularly the past 8 years, in my view. It's going to take time. But you've helped show us the path forward as how to begin to rebuild this economy. And so on behalf of the President of the United States, I want to congratulate each and every one of you and all of you in the audience for participating in this. You all made us proud. This organization makes us proud. You made America proud. And with the grace of God, as my grandfather would say, in the goodwill of the neighbors, and a whole lot more hard work, and the willingness to talk about this is going to be rather than what used to be, I think we're on the road to rebuilding an economy that is not based on any bubbles, that is not based upon any ephemeral choices we made, but based on serious, solid foundations that grow out of a healthcare system, an education system, and a manufacturing base that's real and innovative. So all I can say is God bless you all, keep it up, and may God protect our troops. Thank you very, very much. The problem is, guys,